Hello there, friends. This is the piano lesson. I'm Jonathan Edert, and today we're going to learn about the piano. We're going to learn how to learn. We're going to learn what to learn, and we're going to make learning meaningful and manageable. So whenever we learn anything, you want to always build on what you've learned before, and that way, whatever you learn that's new, that thing that you learn is solid and grows out of something. That's really what you want from a teacher. You want someone to show you what to learn, how to learn it, why to learn it, what order to learn it in, and to make it meaningful. And the way you make it meaningful, again, is by taking a simple idea and looking at it from another vantage point. That's my definition of jazz, actually. Taking a simple idea, looking at it from another vantage point. So today I'd like to talk about learning a different kind of scale, learning the blues scale, which is essential to learning jazz. But the way we're going to learn the blues scale is actually from the standpoint of learning a major scale and extracting out of that a simpler scale, the pentatonic scale, and then creating a mode of that scale, so reframing the scale, and then modifying it slightly. Okay, the sound of the blues scale, and we'll show you what that kind of looks like. But there's your and also when we're playing the blues, we're playing in the cracks, we're playing clusters of notes. That's the blues sound, okay? So how do you get there? Well, if you look at the black keys on the piano, we'll start from looking at the black keys, okay? There's a group of 3 and a group of 2, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is a pentatonic, P-E-N-T-A-T-O-N-I-C, a pentatonic scale. Guitar players learn lots of pentatonic scales. Piano players actually don't really learn pentatonic scales. But in this instance, this is how you would notate it in the treble clef. So G flat, A flat, B flat, D flat, and E flat. Okay, G flat, A flat, B flat, D flat, and what did I say? I meant E flat up here. That's what I meant. Okay, got to catch me in those things, guys. Okay, so in terms of what we call scale degrees, D-E-G-R-E-E-S, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Those are the scale degrees from the major scale. This is the major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's why the piano's kind of made the way it is. Now, you can reframe that scale in different ways. If we take this scale and take the top note, the E flat, and move it down an octave to here, okay, we suddenly have E flat, and these scale degrees change, and now we have 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then back to 1, 3, 4, 6, 1. Sounds kind of Asian. And that would be called a R-E-L-A-T-I-V-E, a relative minor. That's a minor pentatonic. Okay. Why is it minor? Well, because of this minor third as opposed to this major third. A major third is 2 whole steps. A minor third is 1.5 steps. But you can hear the difference. It's major third, minor third. But just taking that group of notes and moving them down there, now we have a minor pentatonic. Now, if you add one other note to that, okay, dead smack center in the middle of the octave, okay, I'm going to move this over slightly so we can see a little better. I'm going to move the B flat over here, and we're going to write an A natural, okay, an A natural in there. I made that A sound a little louder. That now becomes transformed from the relative minor pentatonic scale to an E flat blues scale. That's the blues scale. And your quote unquote blue notes, the infamous blue notes, what are those? Well, it's the minor third, which we have already, but also this. Now I'm writing it as A natural. You could describe the interval from E flat to A as an augmented AUG, MENTED, augmented fourth. That's possible. I could also write it as a B flat, B double flat, and that would be a diminished fifth. Okay, so that's possible to describe it as a diminished fifth. But in either case, probably a better way to describe that A natural is as a tritone, a tritone. A tritone. What's a tritone? Tri meaning three whole steps above the E flat, or 3 whole steps below the E flat. Precisely symmetrical, dead smack in the middle of that octave. And that's what that gives you, that blues sound, okay? So for all you folks out there that are interested in learning a blues scale, well, if you know your major scale, then it's simple just to extract out the 5 notes from the pentatonic scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, all right? Take that scale, reframe it, down a minor third or up a major 6, reframe it. Now you have the relative minor pentatonic, okay? And then from there, you take that, add that special note, dead smack in the middle by that tritone, and you have your blues scale. Now, there's 12 major scales, there's 12 minor scales, there's 12 pentatonic scales, there's 12 blues scales, essentially. Typically, 3 of those you can spell in more than one way, but that's the sound you want to be able to learn. Now, you could also examine the tritone. You could examine the blues scale, again, from the standpoint of an E flat major scale, from the standpoint of our tetrachords, our tetrachords, which we discussed last week. The tetrachord is bound, B-O-U-N-D, bound by a perfect fourth. Okay, so here's your perfect fourth: E flat up to A flat. Okay, space note lineup. That's how you learn to read music. Okay, that's a perfect fourth. And then B flat up to E flat. Okay, that's another perfect fourth. Line note up to space note, an even numbered interval. That's how they appear in notation. All right, all even numbered intervals, seconds, fourths, 6 octaves, a line note and a space note. So those are your disjunct because they're not sharing a note. They're kind of nestled up against one another. Typically, we think of this interval in between, that's a whole step in between, right? But we're adding that extra note right in between. So we have this perfect fourth, and we have this perfect fourth, okay? And those are your conjunct fourths. There's your blues note. And then if you go up a minor third, you get the third of the scale, and if you go down a step, you get the 7th. So again, there's more than one way to understand something, right? And it's in the very beginning when you're learning something, well, it's hard, okay? So you learn it however you learn it, and you generally learn it one way first, and you learn it by rote, right? But the idea of practicing, what does practice mean? Well, when you're older, when you're not a little kid, you have a mind, right? And so you can spend time at your instrument and examine what you're doing so that it becomes a part of you, so that you can wrap your head around it. So these are several different ways of looking at the same thing. And sometimes one way is easier, one way is harder, depending on the key you're in, or depending on the situation you're in, or the person you are, or at your stage of development, right? But you should know that there's more than one way to examine these scales. So you can examine it from the standpoint of a major pentatonic scale, or a minor pentatonic scale, or two disjunct tetrachords, right? Or you could just look at the scale itself, and you could merely map it onto a major scale in what we call a parallel, in a parallel manner. So parallel meaning that we're in the key of E flat. Let's say I'm not really going to write a key signature, but the E flat scale, E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D, E flat. All right, those are our that's the major. That's the major scale. All right, but the blues scale uses the first note. It uses a flatted third. Okay, so this has to be an E flat. We skip the second note. The fourth note is fine, and then we add an extra note right there. That's the sharp 4 or the flatted fifth. Okay, and that's going to form either an augmented fourth or a diminished fifth. But again, we're kind of splitting hairs. It really comes under the rubric of a tritone, right, which is kind of indefinable. Our system of notation is somewhat limited in that respect. B flat, that's the fifth, and we get rid of the 6, flatted 7. Okay, that's the D flat, and then we're back to the octave again. Okay, so we have E flat again, G flat, A flat, A natural or B, B flat, D flat, and then we're back to E flat again. And all of that is typically bound within an octave. There's a real good song. It's a good song. Bag's Groove. That's the whole song. And does it again. It's a blues. That's our context of our 12-bar blues. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's our 12-bar blues, right? Ba ba, E flat minor, da 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 dee, da da. 4 counts in a measure. These are hash marks. Da 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 da. 1, 2, 3. Ba ba, A flat minor. You could play A flat minor, but it's A flat 7, but it's basically A flat. Da 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 da. Goes back to E flat minor. Da da, B flat, da 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 D, back to E flat minor. This is B flat 7 for sure. You might play A flat 7 there, or you might typically in a minor blues you'd play A flat minor 7. You can kind of play a little game with that, but 1, 2, 3, da da. a minor pentatonic, right? Back to E flat, and back to the top. That's the form. That's the form of the piece. The form of a piece of music. The form is just as important, if not more important, than the chords and the notes themselves, right? That's the framework of the tune. And if you drop a beat or you add a beat, you're really distorting the song. It's not really even a song anymore. Now, within that framework, that's a minor 6 chord right there. So you can add those sounds in between the melody. I'm playing A flat 7 there. Both hands. So there's your sound. There's your blues sound. Now, you want to be able to play not only on the black keys, okay, but black keys are fun. That's why, I mean, the black keys are fun. That's why they kind of have them there. Just as an aside, why does the piano have black keys and white keys, and why are the black notes grouped into 3s and 2s? You know, well, they're just suffice it to say that this is a really good idea. They've tried making keyboard instruments in different ways. There's actually experimental keyboards where every note alternates black, white, black, white, black, white. But this goes with your hands. Physically, it feels good, you know, to go with your hands. Typically, white keys, we use the thumb. Black keys, we use the other fingers, okay? So in terms of fingering, I'm going to try to quickly give you guys some fingering rules, okay, to make some sense out of this. So we can group the fingering. Okay, this is the fingering rules. All right. Okay, hold on to your hat. So the first group I'll show you is 2 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're talking right hand right now. Okay. You can do left hand, of course, but we'll do right hand to start with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So you have a group of 4 notes and a group of 3 notes. So what I mean by that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Right? As opposed to the E flat scale, which is the opposite. It's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? That's the kind of like the opposite, right? So this scale, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and your thumb's crossing under, okay? That's your thumb crossing under your hand. It's really important. I'm a big stickler about that thumb cross. When I was a kid, they used to say, try to make a noise on the side of your thumb, and then try to pretend there's a fly there and catch the fly. You can catch the fly, right? But keep your thumb, cross your thumb underneath, keep it close to your hand underneath. You're not going to be able to play quickly unless you understand how to throw your thumb out ahead of you. So the minute I'm done with that thumb and I play my second finger, watch the thumb, boom. That's right under the hand, okay? Boom, ready over that A. I'm not playing the A, right? But I'm waiting, until I need it. It's right there. That's how you play fast. You get your fingers over the keys before you need them. That's one way you do it. Okay, so what scales would use that fingering? Well, I don't know. I do know. F, 1, 2, 3. So let's do E flat, F, and let's see what else. B flat, 1, 2, 3. B flat. Got to think about this for a minute. So B flat, E flat, and we said F, All right, and then what scales would be useful, would use these fingerings? Well, C, we said D, E, G, A, B would go in the other category. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. That B would go in the other category. And so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 scales. Well, we have 3 left. 3. It's 3, okay. And what would those be? Well, C sharp, F sharp, or the G sharp or the A flat. And there's some choices for those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. That's F sharp or G flat, right? With this 2, 1, probably F sharp. I think probably don't want to call it G flat because then you'd have to call the A B double flat. F sharp. And then C sharp. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 2, 1, 2. You could do 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. That's possible for C sharp. Okay, that's possible. And 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Probably don't want to. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't want to. Probably don't want to do the same thing. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's for A flat. 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the fingering I'm choosing, I'm keeping in mind that I may want to play the scale more than one octave, right? That's why I'm ending on the 4th finger there. I can end on 2 and I can end on 3, but it's good habit to get into ending on 4 so I can keep moving down the scale if I need to. All right, so that's a really good idea. I started with 2. I might even want to consider starting with 4 in that instance. 4, 1, 2, 2, 4, 4. In fact, that's probably a better idea. 4, 1. Just to be in a good habit. Because if I start on 3 and I want to go down, I'm going to have problems. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That works with the F sharp. And 2, 1, 2. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That works with the C sharp too. So this scale pretty much works with all 3 of those, and then there's kind of an alternative fingering down there. Again, I'll just kind of show you guys again. So let's do 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a pretty good fingering, but again, depending on the situation, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That kind of works there, and if I'm playing, that's kind of nice. That 2, 3, 4 fingering, Okay, so we have our 3 groups of blues fingerings. Now, what chord would you use a blues scale with? Well, I would say in general, you'd use it either with a dominant chord, like C7, let's say, or you could use it with a minor chord, like C minor 7. So C7, all right, C7, or C minor works real well. And even if you do something like C6, C minor 6, or C6, maybe not quite as much, but that dominant sound. So bass clef, C, E, G, B flat, that's C7, or C, E flat, G, B flat, that's C minor 7. Again, in terms of scale degrees, 1, 1, 3, 5, flatted 7, or 1, flatted 3, 5, flatted 7, right? Because in the key of C, C is the first note of the scale, E is the third, G is the fifth, and B is the seventh. In this case, B is the seventh and C, so that's why we call it a flatted 7. And this is the fantastic thing about jazz and blues. This is the thing that kind of doesn't really fit in any other genre of music, is that you have the presence of both major and minor at the same moment. You have this E natural and the E flat at the same time. You have this, and we like that sound. It's a really, but if I take that E natural away and flat it to the third, it takes a little edge off. But if I could add it back up here, could add it back up here, but very briefly, otherwise it's going to sound clusters of notes. And those clusters sound real good high on the piano too, played rhythmically like a drummer would play them, kind of. Triplets, groupings of threes. You know, the blues that we hear, I'm going to kind of end with this, but rhythmically, how do you use them rhythmically? We think of typically playing in 4 all the time, where the quarter note equals 1 count. But very often the blues is played actually in 12/8, where the 8th note gets 1 count. And you have groupings of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So, and you have accents, okay, to delineate those groupings. But you have, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And you can switch back and forth between eighths and straight eighths, duplets, or triplets. That's what makes it fun. 1, 2, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 1 and 2 and 3 and triplet, 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 triplet. Whew. Okay, that's a lot of stuff. I'm gonna say goodbye now because I think I've loaded you guys up with enough information. But if you have questions, please let me know. I can delve into this more, focus in, and or expand as the case may be, you know, depending on what you guys need. Okay, I'm Jonathan Eder. This is the piano lesson, and send me an email or a post or something, and I'll see you guys next week. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.